Hello and welcome back to the workshop. Today I'm going to be mounting not one but two paleo style knives, so stay tuned and let's get on with it. So first up is this rather gorgeous Mahogany Obsidian blade. I love the oblique flaking pattern that I've managed to get onto this, and it's also got an incredibly sharp edge. That is going to be mounted onto this piece of red deer horn. I've already beveled it and slotted it. I've got a place to sign, and I'm thinking that that is quite a good match. And next up we have this, one of my finest actually in terms of thinness and length, silver sheen obsidian blade. I really like the flaking pattern that has come out on this, and it is very pointy and very, very sharp. So this is going to get its own piece of blackthorn. I really enjoyed working with it last time, so I'm thinking like that. I've already shaped it to fit the handle. We're just going to go through the process of mounting it. So first one's first. The Mahogany Obsidian. That's going to be going into this red deer handle. So I'm going to start by being very mindful not to burn myself, but I want to heat up the blade itself. The reason we do that is so that it doesn't set the resin instantly, which you'll want to do. That'll stay hot for a while. Here's our resin. Once again, apply the heat. Scoop up the resin as much as we can. Scoop up a lot of that. Alright, now we apply to the handle. So I want to be gentle with this. We're just going to slot it in. Now I've obviously checked to make sure that it fits, it pre-fits. Because there's nothing worse than going to this point and realising it doesn't actually fit properly. But it's pretty good like that. I'm quite happy. You only get a few moments, because we kept the blade warm. You still have a few moments to adjust it and get it just the way you want it. And what I'm looking for is a kind of a natural curve here. It can make all the difference in a piece. Now something else I like to do at this point is I'll break off chunks of this resin and put it down in the gaps like that, and I'll actually melt them into place. The reason I do that is to help secure it. I mean, it pretty much guarantees the bond between the knife and the handle. I'll do the same for the top. So I'll just pick a bit of resin here. Sometimes you can actually just do it like this, save a bit of time. And in it goes. So I need a little bit more. We're just going to do a final melting. This will let all that resin melt right down into the piece and really connect the blade and the handle. It'll be bloody hard for that to come out now. It's exactly what we want. And there we have it. That has been mounted. I'm quite happy with that. The next step is the sinew. I've already pre-cut it. What I like to do is I put a little bit of hide glue, which I have ready here, on beforehand. I'll put it somewhere like this. And I'll begin the wrap. Now this point is quite critical. You want to make sure that at all times you are keeping it very tight. Otherwise, as it dries, it might come loose, which is not good. And then last but not least, hide glue applied to the entire thread. Sometimes I like to leave the thread in the hide glue. I water it down a little bit and soak the sinew in the hide glue, and that will really help with that connection, that final bonding, as it were. So what I'm doing now is just smearing that hide glue, which is drying as I'm using it, into the sinew. And finally, we have our wrapped and finished piece. Next step for this will be signing and varnishing. But before we do that, we've got one more blade to work on. With this one, it's the same story again. Just going to heat the blade up. Getting quite a lot on this one, so that we can really wedge that in there, because the handle itself is quite small, so I want to make sure that the bond is really good. The good thing about working with resin is that it dries quite quickly. It gives you enough time to move it if you keep it warm. But once it starts to dry, it dries really quickly, and it creates an incredible bond as well, which is fantastic for doing something like this, where you're positioning and you want it to stay in a very particular place. As you can see, that ended up just how we wanted it. I'm just putting the last little bits of resin in here now. I do not want that to come out. It's pretty good. I'm happy with that. A little bit more on top, and we'll call this piece done. So sometimes I sprinkle it on like that. We're just bringing it around here along the edge, like that. And the last step is sinew. Once again, straight into the hide glue, and keeping it in mind that we are trying to keep this nice and tight. The first wrap is always awkward, but once you get it going, it comes together quite nicely. It's a beautiful day here today. It's a bit grey and foggy, which is the way I like it. Kind of feels a little bit mystic, actually. which I guess only adds to the atmosphere when you're doing something like this. Now, all of these pieces that I've made today will be available on my Etsy for purchase. I think these two are both going to come with a sheath, and that will include free shipping in the UK as well. So there you have it. There's that one wrapped. And once again, it's a case of just a little bit of hide glue and pop her on here. We do this to make sure that that blade is just not coming off. Now, naturally, hide glue can stay tacky for quite a while, especially when things get a little bit damp. But eventually it does dry, and it is bloody hard when it is. And there you have it. Not one, but two Paleo style daggers, wrapped and set. All that's left to do now is seal the handle with varnish. On the archaeological record, this didn't take place. I'm only doing this myself in order to protect the piece, to protect the investment. You know, these aren't to be used as actual tools. These are to be used as display pieces. So it makes sense to protect the investment and look after the piece. Obviously, mice and dogs will love the deer horn handles, but also over time this will keep it looking pretty much as fresh as the day it was made. And we'll do the same also with the blackthorn handle as well. Once again, exactly the same reasons: to protect the piece. And this is one way of doing so. And there you have it. And that's another episode of the Workshop Sessions. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the little bell icon to get all future updates from me. And that's it from me here. I'll see you next time.